If your cruise stops in Aomori and you're thinking about a shore excursion, here's what can happen when things don't go as planned. Hi, I'm Bonnie from Bon Voyage Cruise and Travel, and after more than 55 cruises and travel to over 78 countries, I like helping you decide what's actually worth your time in port. And in this video, I will show you exactly what happened and what you can do if it happens to you. Since the most famous cherry blossom location, HIrosaki Castle, was further away in a different city and the cruise shore excursion was sold out, my particular tour, iconic Aomori, seemed like the best way to see the most in one day. Thank you so much. This was a full day excursion that included several stops. A shrine and garden, Fujimi Lake Park, a scenic lake with cherry blossoms, an author's home, and time in downtown Aomori, including a stop at the fish market for lunch. When we arrived in downtown Aomori, the fish market was closed due to a festival. So instead of a planned lunch stop, we suddenly had about an hour of free time in the rain with no clear direction on where to go. At that point, I decided not to spend the time searching for food. Instead, I explored what was nearby and ended up finding a street performance, which turned out to be one of the most memorable parts of the day. They almost look like they're samurai, you know? When you get off the ship in Aomori at the Shinchao Wharf, the cruise terminal does have helpful features. Free Wi-Fi, an information desk, and even a local bus connection called Nebutan Go, which connects you to parts of the Aomori city. But those options mainly stay within the downtown area and don't really reach the more well-known cherry blossom locations further out, which is where I went. This was a good reminder that even well-organized tours don't always go perfectly. It does help to have a backup plan, an eSIM for your phone, and sometimes you do just need to be flexible and adjust your expectations for the day, but that doesn't mean that you don't say anything about this later on. When I got back to the ship, I went directly to guest services and explained what had happened. The market was closed, we were left to figure out lunch on our own, which didn't feel like what we signed up for, and on top of that, it was raining. Guest services listened, they apologized, and I received a 50% refund. So say something if it doesn't feel right on a tour. It's worth speaking up and seeing what they can do about it to make it right. Because let's face it, what travels faster than good news is bad news, and they don't want their tours to be promoted as something not to do. Aside from that issue, Aomori itself was beautiful. Our first stop was the Takayama Inari Shrine. A good hour drive, 200 steps to the very top, or an alternate winding road that made it a little easier. There were lots of temples and artifacts. And once you reach the top on the backside, there's a big garden with gates and temples. There's the top over there, a panoramic view. This is so pretty. Quite peaceful and just a beautiful place. This reminds me of when I was in Malaysia. You see, the tougher the climb, the more prayers you get, or something like that. It's a lot. There's an alternate route to the left that's just kind of a walking down path. Maybe I'll do it. It's just easier. Next, we visited Fujimi Lake Park. The scenic park is famous for its bridge. There is a bridge that goes across the lake. This is the longest bridge for something. It's hard for me to understand what he's saying, but it is so beautiful. It's called the Tsurunomai Bridge, Japan's longest triple-arched wooden bridge. There were cherry blossoms all along the lake. It had a really beautiful view of Mount Iwaki. These cherry blossoms in bloom. There was a place to have a snack or two, and there were bird watching opportunities as well. Over there with the snow and all these cherry blossoms in bloom. Next, we visited the author's house, the Shakoan Memorial Museum. A memorial to this author. He was very famous in the area. And he wrote some of his work there. That was his childhood home. The large modern Japanese style home. We were given time to explore the house on our own, and in the local area there was also a grocery store we decided to shop at. This is the supermarket checkout. And of course then the final stop was the downtown Aomori, but as I said, we were dropped off. Tour operator went for a break, and everything was pretty much closed at that point. I found an interesting stationery store, and then I proceeded to the closed off street. It was quite a festival atmosphere. I was happy to see the dances were still being performed, even though the weather was a little rainy. It was very impressive, and they had a very appreciative crowd watching. I did really enjoy the Aomori area. The lake and the blossoms and the Takayama Inari Shrine, the view of the Mount Iwaki. It was also peaceful, and it was a less crowded experience compared to other ports, so that felt very local, and I really appreciated that. They had a lot of apple products because their main industry there is apples and rice. Aomori is a port where choosing between a tour and doing it on your own can really matter. Since the most famous cherry blossom location is the HIrosaki Castle, it's located in a different city. You might want to check out the Viator options for splitting costs with other people, because a lot of times the tours could be cost per vehicle, and that could be a good price and will get you right to the HIrosaki Castle door, and then you don't need to worry about trains or buses. And just make sure that you confirm your ship return time, because when you take an independent tour, there is no guarantee with a non-ship excursion as far as getting you back on time. But I think I have taken Viators before, and everything has always worked out just fine. But like I said, the language barrier, there is definitely that, and it's not so much the safety issue, it's more about logistics and time, because the bigger issue is speed. If something goes wrong, you lose all that time so fast. So it's better to have a plan of action. And I think in a city like this, for me personally, it was better to see multiple places spread out across the region in one swoop, and I didn't have to worry about how to get there. So Viator, a private guide, or like a ship excursion, to me personally is the better way to go. Or if you want just a simple day close to the ship, you can do that with the bus that I told you about, but it's not going to any really exciting areas. It's just pretty much the local town of Aomori. So would I do this excursion again? Probably yes, for the variety and the scenery, but I would go into it knowing that, again, things may not go perfect, and just have a backup plan. And sometimes even when things don't go perfectly, you can still have a really good time, a really meaningful experience. I was really happy to have caught the karate show in full swing, and so that was memorable for me. We also did a port stop in Hakodate. We saw cherry blossoms there as well. Check out that video here. It has been my pleasure showing you Aomori and all that it has to offer. If you have found this helpful, informative, or you've learned something, please make sure you hit that thumbs up button. Subscribe for more helpful cruise tips and travel information. Thank you so much for watching. Happy cruising, and until next time. This is just our first stop. There's some cherry blossoms. Oh. That's pretty.